Now on HTV, live to Monte Carlo for the qualifying session of the 1998 Monaco Grand Prix.
Monaco 97, Michael Schumacher streaks ahead. The German's Ferrari survived the late diversion. The rest can't handle the typically sudden change in the weather. The casualty rate's high, only 10 go the distance. Both McLarens out on the first lap.
And that's Hakkinen with the wheel off. Both the McLarens in trouble, major trouble.
This time can Hakkinen pass the toughest driving test of all? Grand Prix weekend in Monte Carlo. A stunning mixture of glamour, heady excess, fierce competition and pure fantasy. A very tasty sporting cocktail. And welcome to the ITV balcony. What a fantastic view, and a lot more stable than that rock and rolling yacht that we had last year. Qualifying absolutely vital here. You've got to be a driving genius to overtake in Monte Carlo. Monaco, though, remains a total one-off. What do the drivers think about it? Well, we'll hear their views after James Allen updates us on a very eventful morning.
The huge Monaco crowd was in good voice this morning as the drivers turned up for work. Jacques Villeneuve, David Coulthard taking time out to sign a few autographs, and championship leader Mika Hakkinen and his fiancée looking very confident indeed. Michael Schumacher was here to spoil McLaren's Monaco party. But Schumacher goes into this afternoon's qualifying session very underprepared after transmission failure on his second lap out of the pits. Following on from his accident in Thursday practice, Schumacher has done about a quarter of the practice laps of the others. Bridgestone tyres are looking good here. Mika Salo hurled the arrows around to third spot this morning. And fastest of all was Benetton's Giancarlo Fisichella. Great stuff from the young Italian. McLaren clearly has the fastest car here, but they've had a few problems in practice. David Coulthard knocked the rear wing off at the swimming pool, and Mika Hakkinen was in the wars too, giving the McLaren mechanics just 2 hours before qualifying to fix both cars. Jacques Villeneuve also discovered the limits of the groove tyres, but he's under no illusions.
It's a tough weekend because you can't work. There's too many people, you're very confined, and it's a great weekend for the people that are here to party.
It's an amazing circuit, you have to say. You know, you go out on your first lap around the place, you think, holy, holy whatever. It's amazing, it really is. And you think you're never going to get the grips with it, and then, you do your second run, you start feeling as if you get in a rhythm, and then it all starts coming together and you can start attacking, but it's one hell of a circuit, no doubt about that.
Eddie Irvine, 5th quickest today. A reminder of the championship. Hakkinen 7 clear of Coulthard. The Scot, the only driver to score in every race so far. Michael Schumacher chasing his 4th Monaco win out of the last 5, and Eddie Irvine got on the podium here last time. Okay, Tony Jardine is with me. Now, Michael Schumacher, all sorts of problems. Can he overcome them, Tony?
He's going to have to try and do it, but it is a key race for him because he's 12 points down in the championship. He could turn it round here. He's the Monaco master, 3 wins in 4 years. He's a brilliant bloke. Trouble is, he lost 2 sessions, and track time out here is very, very important. The track is changing the whole time. I hope the Ferrari challenge hasn't been blunted, but with his superb driving ability, maybe he can get on the front row.
Do you think we're going to see a sort of upside-down grid here today?
I think Bridgestone runners are going to be very strong. I expect to see Fisichella and Burt's up there. Maybe even Salo can reproduce what he did this morning. So it could be a topsy-turvy grid, and that would be brilliant for us.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. Well, the circuit itself hasn't changed too much, really, since Juan Fangio won his first Grand Prix here back in 1950. Make a mistake, you rarely get a second chance. Half the field normally fails to finish. Martin Brundle's been out and about, pinpointing the key areas.
Well, this is Monte Carlo the rest of the year round, full of traffic. It also happens to be the racetrack and the first corner, Saint Devote. Over my left shoulder you can see the skid marks as the cars struggle to slow down. If they fail, they end up in no man's land. The lap is over almost before it's begun. Casino Square. If it's possible to love a corner, I love this one. Approach it at 160 miles an hour, have the car slightly to the left, ready to go over the hill, keep it straight. Then you follow the barrier around. In fact, you're aiming at somewhere around where this Bentley is parked. Past the famous Hotel de Paris, then it starts getting serious. A big right-hander, third gear, 100 miles an hour. The track falls away from you. It's very tricky. Imagine this. You've negotiated Portier safely. You're in second gear in your Formula One car and you hit the throttle hard. Tremendous acceleration towards a unique feature found only here in Monaco, the tunnel. You leave the bright blue South of France sky into the darkness, and momentarily you can't really see where you're going. In those few hundred meters, you must remember to straddle the manhole cover you still can't see. Then there's a very serious right-hand corner taken flat out in top gear, just. Towards the end of the lap, Rascasse approach at 120 miles an hour, braking all the way in, as you see over my shoulder. You skim the barrier twice, once on the way in and once on the way out. What you're really doing is going around this restaurant.
Frenson's Williams positively alive through Rascasse. Still Anthony Noakes corner left. If you touch the barrier on the inside, you'll slam it on the outside. No problems this time through and into a new lap.
Thanks, Martin. Reminder of the Constructors' Championship. McLaren 30 points clear of Ferrari. Thanks to Senna and Prost, the McLarens dominated this race for a decade. Williams and Benetton, the only others in double figures. Well, that's particularly tough for Williams, the dominant team of the 90s. A colour change to red has coincided with a very embarrassing season. The Stewarts, though, they return to the scene of the greatest triumph in their history. Well, we'll hear about the Stewarts in a moment. First, here's James once again trying to find out what's happened to Williams this season.
12 months ago, Williams were on top, but the change to the 98 rules has not been kind to them. In qualifying at Barcelona, they were over 6 seconds slower than they'd been in 97, while McLaren were just 2.4 seconds slower than their best time last year. In Paddy Lowe and Adrian Newey, Ron Dennis has two of Williams' top engineers. So where does it leave the champions?
I don't think we have gone backwards. You know, everybody says, oh, Williams have gone backwards. I think perhaps we haven't made the progress that McLaren have made and over the winter and in the first few races, and you know, you see what happens. Suddenly people are starting to march ahead of you. We've just had a car that's very difficult to get into the corner. You know, it's quite lively at the rear end, and that tends to frighten the drivers a little bit. They can't carry speed in, and that introduces problems later in the corner.
The team is working really, really hard. Now that we know what the problem is, the team is working really, really hard.
We still have the same car as we started the season, so from this point of view, we don't have any improvements right now. The modified car is coming out for Canada, and we're going to test it next week in Monza. I'm looking forward for that.
Williams haven't won Monaco since 1983, and this weekend could be a bit of a struggle. They could have done without this shunt on Thursday between Jacques Villeneuve and Ricardo Rosset's Tyrrell, which gave the Williams mechanics plenty of work to do. Williams then will be hoping that the revised car for Montreal should make a difference. Rumour has it they've gone for a longer wheelbase, like Jordan and McLaren, and with just 14 points on the board after 5 races, it can't come soon enough.
Barrichello taking the 5th place, 2 World Championship points for the Stewart team. There'll be enormous relief there.
5th place in Barcelona a fortnight ago, ahead of Jacques Villeneuve's Williams, suggested that while the world champions are still struggling, Formula One's newest team has turned a corner.
We've had 2 top 10 finishes this year, and considering that we've only been at the business for 14 months, I think actually we've done quite well. Other people's expectations are much higher than ours.
This weekend the team returns to the scene of its greatest triumph. Second in a rain-swept Monaco last year was the outstanding highlight of Stewart's debut season. But history suggests that life gets far more complicated for a team in its 2nd year.
Oh, absolutely. The 2nd year for me was bordering on a nightmare. And the reason for that really is, in fact, is that the first year you've got the adrenaline pumping, and prior to the first year you of course had all the time to design, develop and create a sponsorship package that's necessary. The second year, of course, you have all the problems of having to build the second car in the first year's racing. So it's a new area, and quite honestly, it was by far the toughest year for me in racing.
So just how crucial is year two?
It's of course very important, but keep in mind that we've always said it's a 5-year program of racing, and we're only just into year 2. We don't expect to do much until year 3. We expect to be able to deliver constantly top 10, top 6 finishes and be in contention perhaps to win a race or even be in contention for the championship by years 4 and 5. That's what we set ourselves as a goal, that's what we're financed to do, and that's what our partners want us to do.
Right then, Tony, Stewart's taking the long-term view, but what has occurred at Williams?
I think there's a bit of desperation creeping in there, to be honest, because they're talking about this new package for Canada. They wanted to try and rush it through for here. They couldn't. They actually grafted on the rear end of last year's car during testing to try and overcome this nervousness. That helped a lot. Heinz-Harald Frenzen's been over to the workshop, to the factory, sitting with their aerodynamicist, Jeff Willis, trying to work out what they need here. And the other thing is that Jacques Villeneuve, this is his jinx track here. He's crashed here twice. He crashed here this morning. It doesn't look good for them at the moment. They're hoping that this race goes away and then go to Canada.
Another tough weekend for him here, then, it sounds like.
So.
Okay. Well, really, Monaco is the place to be this weekend. Turn any corner, you bump into a celebrity. Sylvester Stallone has popped down from the Cannes Film Festival. He's still planning a movie, by the way, on Formula One. And another big star here is Manchester United's Ryan Giggs. Ryan sampling the unique atmosphere of this event, and he's talking to Louise.
It seems like more footballers than any other sportsmen come along to the races. Do you think there's affinity between the two sports, or do footballers just like a good day out?
I think you find the majority of footballers love cars. I mean, I love cars and I love driving. So I think that's probably the link that you'll get.
You're here with George. Does that mean you're a Damon Hill fan?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think Damon Hill's brilliant. You know, if I ever, when I do follow Grand Prix, I hope, that Damon wins.
So where are you going to watch the qualifying from?
Hopefully as near as I can. It's my first Grand Prix, so it's a good one to go to. It's a bit chaotic though.
As near as he can. He'll definitely get too near here, particularly in Monaco. What a shame he's not going to be involved in France 98. Quite a few of the locals actually disappear this weekend and then come back and collect massive rents on their properties. But here we are then, picture postcard time at the Côte d'Azur. They'll be qualifying when you rejoin us in Monaco in a couple of minutes.